Holla ballers, what's going on? And I'm joined in the room by the beautiful, silky smooth voice that makes the clitoris quiver. It's Mr. Ghost. Hey, buddy.
How you doing, mate? You alright?
Whoa, dropping some Barry White tones on that bitch then. The Nighthold. Finally, we can do a video on the Nighthold. I killed Heroic. You cleared the normal mode and done some Heroics as well.
We have, mate,
so we have got the full scope as we enter into Mythic next week, which is going to be a big thing, I think. I think Mythic's going to be a hell of a thing. I do.
How do you mean a hell of a thing?
I'll talk about it as we go through.
Sorry,
I think is the way we should do this, because I'm just basing things off what I've seen so far in Legion, so we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Overall impressions, generally speaking, loving the Nighthold. Compared to Emerald Nightmare and the TOV,
absolutely, yeah.
Miles better. Miles better.
Not a fan of the trash, mate. But
well, go on, say what you're going to say.
I was going to say, not a fan of the trash, but the actual bosses, visuals, mechanics, variation, that I'm down for. Just the trash itself.
One thing that happened to us is on Heroic, the trash continuously did a shield that reduced the damage taken by the trash by 85% and stunned the tanks. So you were literally just constantly doing shit trash damage, which made the trash a chore. On normal, when after we finished Heroic Gul'dan, we went and did it on normal. That shield gave 50% haste and allowed you to crush the trash real quick. Now, I don't know whether Blizzard changed it so that it now gives a buff instead of being this damage reduction, or whether just in Heroic mode, that's part of the mechanics. I'm not sure, but the trash was a fucking killer on Heroic, but on normal it wasn't too bad. I didn't mind it at all there. So I'm wondering if that shield was altered, or whether it's on Heroic they just do the really annoying shield for some reason. Right. Probably on Mythic it'll do 100% damage reduction. That'll be a load of fun. Or they'll do it twice as often or whatever. But yeah, it's the Sunwell vibe. I think they nailed it. I felt exactly like I did walking through the Sunwell.
Kind of like a direct opposite as well.
Yeah, the Nightwell and all that kind of stuff. It definitely felt like I was in the Sunwell once again. The corridors felt exactly the same. Yeah. The passageways, even the demon layout. I kept expecting to see a big giant floating beholder eye. Lo and behold, water on the corner. There it is. Which makes total sense for the theme of the place. And it looks like the Tomb of Cerberus is going to follow the Black Temple theme, as we've now seen the armor sets coming out of there. Based on Tier 6, Andy. Based on Tier 6.
Mate, because that's been my triggering for like the past week. Based on Tier 6, it is Tier 6.
Yeah, I mean, they said the models aren't finished yet, so maybe there's some work to be done there. We'll have to wait and see. So let's go through the bosses then. You killed... where have you killed up to on Heroic? I think you're up to Elisande?
We've just got Elisande and Gul'dan left.
Elisande and Gul'dan. So for everything else, we've both killed Heroic, everything up to there.
Yeah.
Skorpyron, what a meme boss. I mean it in the truest sense. Boss. What a meme. This boss is a fucking meme.
It's funny how excited AoE classes get.
I was giddy. I was totally giddy. I will point out, you're watching the normal mode footage. For some reason, and believe me, I'm more sad than you guys, I didn't get any of the Heroic footage. It just didn't record. It said it was recording, but none of the files exist. So I lost it. I do have Gul'dan Heroic, but yeah, that was a real fucking shame. But Skorpyron is just a meme boss. Once it started, on our Heroic kill, we didn't know what to do, obviously, because we went in blind, and just pulled everything. I think we had something like 450 Scorpions in total over the course of the fight, and I was having a blast. Until I died from aggro. I died at like 50%.
I was literally doing minimal AoE damage on the smallest AoE DPS rogue spec. I might as well have been mashing taters, mate. Watching everyone have the time of their fucking lives.
Yeah, in normal mode, it became a war of the Warlocks dominant. I think Cloggy did like 4.5 million DPS
Jesus
on that.
Christ.
And me and the Windwalker. And the Windwalker ultimately died, but I just beat him, ever so slightly beat him. But I was having much fun. Very silly boss. Potentially for Mythic, I hope they don't new to that boss so he's not fun. And make it so it's... Right. I mean, it's obviously going to be much harder than it is now.
It's already a meme now. Let's hope they play further on that.
Yeah, what I'm really hoping is they don't sterilize that fight into being like not fun AoE-ish. I mean, people are like, this is really silly. But then again, how many bosses have we had like that where it's just such an AoE bonanza? Not many. Not many at all. It's just a continuous explosion. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a very... I thought it was a breath of fresh air. Some people were moaning about it. I was like, oh, this is just silly. And I was like, you know what? We haven't had a boss like this pretty much ever that was really continuously outrageous AoE to the point where it lagged people's PCs. One of our rogues is talking about upgrading his processor because every time we AoE'd, his PC like locked up. The game was like trying to work out all the damage, and that fucked up. I was moving through there then. Chromatic Anomaly. Don't even really know what the fuck goes on in this fight. Even after doing it twice, It's such a weird fight. Yeah, it's fast time, slow time. Slow time is the worst thing in the universe.
Yeah.
Slow time is absolutely horrendous. The room's very cool.
That's what I liked about it though. He's hogging the. Am I right? There are bubbles that diminish, kind of like scenarios.
Yeah.
Is this the right fight?
Oh no, that's a different fight.
Right, okay.
Chromatic Anomaly is the one where it's very similar to the Everbloom, which was a 5-man in Warlords of Draenor, where the third boss in there, once you interrupt him, he changes phase.
Oh yeah, of course.
He's that
Bloody
one.
hell, yeah.
So he's like got normal time, and you can put. But my heroic kill was the worst because I got time bomb 3 times, and the damage is reduced the further you are away. So I literally spent the heroic kill just on my own, in the corner, miles away from everybody. Everyone else looked like they were having some fun, apparently. But when we came back and killed it on normal, I didn't get any debuffs, and I just didn't know what the fuck was going on. It was ridiculous, yeah, it was really silly. So I'm kind of hoping that it's a bit like Emerald Dragons, in where normal and heroic, I couldn't really tell what was going on because we just hammered it so hard. And then we got to Mythic, and it's like, oh!
So that's what it does.
Okay. So this has actually got something interesting going on with it. But Chromatic Anomaly looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful room. Worst trash ever, though. The trash with the shield. Where it keeps teleporting you, and then you gotta run behind it. Oh my god! And the amount of people who just didn't get it. I got it straight away. I thought, if he's ported us here, he's gonna blow this motherfucking place up. There's no doubt whatsoever. If a boss drags everybody to one location, that location is about to be a very bad place. That's Killbox 1 Alpha, Michael Bay. That shit's about to go down. We then moved on to Cake Boss.
Cake
Trilliax. Trilliax the Cake Boss. Fun fight. Really fun fight, really silly. Bugged me again though. My heroic clear was not the best, I'll be honest with you. I made a point, as I recommend to everybody, is I've tried everything there is to do in Nighthold up until Mythic. So any soaking that has to be done, any debuffs that have to be picked up, anything that an individual person can do, I've done. Yeah. So on this fight, I was the greedy man. I ate all the cake.
All the cakes, mate.
All the cake. And then picked up the feast. But I went, if you pick up the feast, you have to soak the bombs.
Yes.
So, me being me, I was like, I'm getting feast, I'm going to sort the bombs and see what this is all about. And you can click the bombs. Right. And I thought, well, that must mean it detonates them early, because you have to soak 2. If you get a feast, you have to soak 2 bombs.
Right.
But apparently the bombs knock you in the air, and the ceiling at the edge of the room is not that high. So I ran up to it, clicked it, and it just ported me out of the room. And again, I watched the entire fight through the gates. So I was just like, guys, I've been ported out of the room, and I thought, I'm not even going to get credit for this kill or anything. So I just watched the guys kill it. But that looks like it could be really interesting on Mythic.
I think it's gonna be pretty funny. There's a lot of humour in that fight as well, which I enjoy.
Yeah, a lot of humour. We have this whole mechanic where people have to follow the bombs around to stop them gaining too much stuff, but you have to use them to clean the room.
Yeah.
So it looks like that's going to be a very complex fight on Mythic. I hope it is. I hope it's not a pushover fight, which it could be.
No.
We never really know until we try it out. And then we moved on to the boss that I think is the first block for people who are like a heroic normal progress.
Really?
Yeah, Spellblade Aluriel. Who spawns the fires and the frost guys and the arcanes. Yeah, this seems to be the one that's the first kind of like, okay, this is a little bit trickier now. Because you can kind of munch your way through the other bosses.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw a lot of people on the first night get the achievement for doing Trilliax wrong, which is to not eat any of the things. Yeah, we saw a lot of people in the guild get that achievement. We didn't, because we started on heroic. I think everyone else started normal. And we were like, shit. We actually have to not do the mechanics to get this achievement. We got it on normal, obviously. But Aluriel, yeah, on heroic. This is our first wipe. It wasn't Ninja Pull because he walks around the room randomly. She walks around the room randomly, and you have to kind of clear the trash and then keep bobbing into the alcoves and stuff. But overall, not a particularly fun fight.
Pretty standard.
Say. Yeah, it was pretty standard. It was positioning. It was like that Court of Stars third boss where you've got to get all the fire rallies into the right place, and you can blow them up and do all that kind of thing, and the frosts and the arcane orbs. But it's a very cramped space, which is what they seem to be playing with there. It's a very cramped space, a lot of flowers and shit, which you can easily get stuck on if you're using things like Blink, like I would be. You can get stuck on a flower for some fucking reason. But lovely boss. Not too difficult, not too boring either. Plenty going on, lots to keep interest, and I think that's quite a cool look. Like some Emerald Nightmare bosses, you're like, this is fucking just boring. Yeah. Straight up boring. Then we had Tychondrius. Your thoughts?
I enjoyed it, mate. I was a bit of I will admit it, every pull that I think in Heroic we probably had about 4 pulls before we killed it. But every time, straight off the bat, I would get the debuff straight away.
The Carrion Swarm.
The Carrion Swarm. So I'd have to move away. So, but I never noticed the damage it did. It just annoyed me that when I was watching people, because I was stood at a distance with my range completely intact, and then I'd see someone in melee get it, and then they wouldn't move, and I'd just see that shit pop out like pimples amongst them. And I was just like, do your fucking job. But the fact of the matter is, for the amount of times that this idiot kept doing it, it wasn't that like killed us. It was some of the mechanics. I don't understand. It almost felt like it was just a visual at that point. Maybe it does a lot of damage. I don't know.
I mean that thing will screw you up.
But it's a fun fight. It's a lot. I liked it.
I like the face changes. I liked it turning into the knight, so it became a really cheesy sort of AOE bonanza. But moving back, you had a mix of a lot of bosses there, and. But unlike Emerald Nightmare, where they basically rehashed entire bosses, this seems to be just picking little elements out from the past. So you had some Fel Lord Zakun in there, hiding behind the pillars.
Yeah.
You had this sort of like the Hellfire Council, where it was like the ghosties swimming around. You also had some ads to kill, which was nice, and moving them out and there. All that kind of stuff was kind of cool. So I found Tichondrius to be pretty fun. I very Blood Queen feel, actually. From ICC.
Yeah, with the spreading.
Yeah, with the spreading and the damage buffs that you're going to get throughout the fight. Definitely have that Blood Queen feel to it. And I feel on Mythic, it's probably going to be very similar to Blood Queen in how that actually works out with going balls to the wall at the end to try and finish this motherfucker off before he eventually whittles you down because he starts spawning bigger and greater ads. It gets more and more dangerous. Then we got onto another meme boss, which was still a lot of fun.
I was just going to say, right, for what it is, I'd say this is probably my favourite boss.
It was the patchwork, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's the patchwork, just nuke him down. He's definitely going to be the DPS check we expect to be in Mythic. But it was kind of funny because no one really knew how much of the bridge he was going to destroy.
That is what I was going to bring up. That shit is crazy. I thought, like, my first thing was, like, I'll save my sprint so I can wait for, like, halfway through his cast. And then, like, you look down, you see how much of the bridge is cracked. And then it's just that immediate, oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Well, the second time, check this out. The second time was, we was fighting it. The bridge was cracked. I thought, right, I was focusing, arranged. I had arranged on focus. But he was stood at the edge of the cracks.
Oh, for a shadow step?
For a shadow step. Yeah. So, like, the bridge cracked, I shadow stepped to him, but he was just inside the cracks, so I went down with him.
Holding hands. You and Leo.
What else was funny is the fact that I don't know if other people had it. We with Deadly Boss mods, it came up like he's going to do Fell Beam left side, Fell Beam right side. Yeah. Didn't work. It just constantly said Fell Beam left side. And sometimes it'd be on the right hand side. So the amount of times that people would just automatically
just following the boss, instead of just looking at his giant hand in the fucking sky.
Back and warming
up, I didn't follow the boss mods at all for that fight. But I'm ranged, so it was much easier for me. I'm not looking at a belly button for the entire duration of the fight.
But it was fun though. It was a lot of fun.
It was great for me. It felt very similar to Armageddon or something. Like I was stood on the bridge with all my ranged bros, and the bridge is cracking, and then all the melee and the tanks just went. And I was like, you fucking dickheads. You dickheads, down you go. And that was the end of Krosus. Krosus and his little bridge things. But yeah, they purposely made it a very simple fight. And that's entirely down to the fact that it's going to be a DPS check. So yeah, I'll be interested to see if that works out pretty well. I wonder how closely timed it is. We've seen with like Mythic Guam how tightly they can tune it so it just so you can kill it.
All the bridge is gone by the time.
So you can just kill it and you'll get that intense pressure towards the end. So I'm hoping I do feel that where we're all bunched together.
That'd be very fun,
and we're like, we're fucked if we don't do this. I'm really hoping that pays off. Well, I'm hoping it's not a case of one person dies. Ripped the whole pole. Let's hope it's tuned just nicely there. Then we hit what on Heroic was definitely the first, like, okay, this just got fucking real quick.
Agreed. Very much so. Yeah.
And you have killed this on Heroic as well. This is the Botanist. And the Botanist last 10% is fucking
crazy.
Guru.
Yeah. A lot of shit going down.
Really a shame, though, and again, I know our guild shouldn't be really, like, comparing normal, but real shame on normal how few of his mechanics he actually uses in normal.
Right,
mode.
Even if they implemented them at a massively reduced damage just so you can get used to
I would have thought that as well, yeah. I want to talk about that at the end a little bit more, but a big example here was the Lashes. On Heroic, Lashes are every 20 seconds, something like that. On normal, I think you do 3 through the whole fight.
Yeah.
Real crazy difference on that. But this fight is fucking for real. This fight's not fucking around whatsoever. I'll be interested to see how it goes down on Mythic, because Jesus Christ. Heroic was a scrape kill for us, a real scrape kill. We killed it in about 4 pulls, I'm not going to lie. It wasn't like the end of the world.
Yeah.
But we used, and I don't know how your guys tackled it, we had 3 voice announcers for that fight. I did Lashes and the countdown to the Dispels, We had another guy who was... we had our tank coordinating which orb to kill, because you've got to stagger the orb kills.
Yeah.
And then we had another... and then our raid leader, Pirwin, was dealing like everything else. But it was a case of there's so much going on. In that last 15-20% that we were like, just divvy up the jobs here. Everyone get the fucking job done. But yeah, and that was the big standout for me when we actually moved over to normal. I was like, okay, a botanist normal should be pretty cool, because obviously normal mode in general isn't going to be great for him.
Like it.
We're overgeared to fuck.
Oh yeah.
So we crushed all the bosses in normal, as you're seeing in the background. But heroic botanist, but fun though.
Hey, I tell you what,
not boring.
It's the most fun I could have as assassination, purely for when he splits.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I'm a bleed-based spec, so I'll be doing nice single-target DPS. It's like, oh, there's another one there, so I start to spin another plate, mate, and then another plate, and then at that point, obviously, my energy's regenerating faster. I'm getting a lot more DPS out, and then I turn it into fan as opposed to mutilate. It's a lot of fun for me personally, because I can see like the change that I'm doing in my playstyle after being a single target dominant spec, and then it just switches completely to fan and knives and hoping.
And it's not on rails. Again, this is the big difference I've been telling people is Botanist is a lot of adaptation. Lots of things going on in different areas of the room. So we had things like the Manaroth style AoE, which kept growing, and we also had a callback to Illidan with the Parasite, which is what the lashes are, spawning the two ads, infesting somebody and dealing with that. It was great to see a mechanic from all the way back in the Burning Crusade come back and reuse it in a nice new different way, which is interesting as well. I will say this is the first boss where I respect from fire. I played Frost on normal.
Really?
Got a shitty pull because I clicked ready and then I was like, oh crap, I want to play Frost here. So I respec quickly and the countdown was already on 4, so I got a shitty pull. But what I did do is what I hoped, which was dominate the lashes, because I'm doing this constant big chuggy cleave. And I know the rest of the guild didn't bother killing the lashes on normal because they were like, fuck this. So I had the dominant damage on there, which was very, very cool to see. Then we moved on to, and I'll say it now, this is easily the most disappointing fight in the dungeon for me. Absolutely hate it. Star Augur, fucking Etraeus.
I enjoyed, I've got to say, in normal, I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on, but we downed it. In heroic, we obviously had to pay more attention to the mechanics, and I've got to say, I enjoyed the shit out of it.
I just found that fight, I mean, the room's wonderful, obviously, it's got the Algalon style themed room, and that's all, although they have to put the first, like, 5-10% of the fight just to prepare you for that transition. The fight is really long.
Yeah, it is.
And not a lot happens. And whether, again, it's because we're a mythic guild and we're used to things happening every few seconds, we were so bored. I was like, this is fucking criminally dull in my eyes, is killing this thing.
Yeah.
And we killed it on our second pull on Heroic. But the first pull, we didn't know what was going on. I got to the last phase and we just kind of thought, fuck the ad, because we were nearly, and then it killed us. And then we went back and did it again and obviously killed the fight.
Yeah.
But as you'll see in the background here, I was running around chasing our paladins with the Fel eruption because there was nothing else to do on that fight. I was so bored. I was just like, I'm just going to chase down that My Man Light and see what he's going on with.
What I enjoyed the most is when a tank is clearing the floor and you're a melee and you can see the tank moving towards you with this pulsing AoE orb. And you can see the people that are paying attention. You see the people that are not. And it's so
not their
funny
job, man.
to watch him. And as soon as they just go plop dead, he's like, what the fuck? It's like, he's running towards you like with a beacon on him to say move.
Move out of the way.
There. I enjoyed it as a melee.
Yeah, Starbro was my disappointment. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I just thought it could have been doing way, way more.
Maybe it will in Mythic.
Hopefully, I mean, the Fat Boss guys I know have said this is the guild killer in Mythic from their testing, which could occur way earlier in the instance. So we'll have to wait and see. It felt very, very long. Not a lot happens, and certainly not when something does happen. It's not difficult to deal with.
Yeah,
you get an ice thing, you go and stand on your own. You get a Fel eruption, run it somewhere else, and then it disappears. Then we got to the second to last boss. Then somebody who we've seen a lot through Legion, which was Grand Magistrix Elisande. What was your thoughts as a melee?
We just did the normal. So I can't comment as deeply as we got up to it last night before we actually had to stop because it was full time. But again with the normal, I like the fact that the gimmick of her resetting.
Yeah, you kill her 3 times.
Yeah,
she keeps changing time. She rolls back time.
I mean, is this now the one with the speed up bubbles?
Yes.
Right.
Blue and the slow down bubbles.
I do. The only thing I remember from this is hogging the speed up bubble, like completely in and out and in and out every time.
You can't do that though. That makes you a big noob. You can't refresh the buff until you've run out.
It doesn't put me bottom of the damage.
No, it does not. No, it does not. I actually had some fun here. I will say the only real difference I noticed between normal and heroic was there was more soaking to be done. Again, as somebody who volunteers for everything, I had to soak the orbs, which was very much like Blood Council, where it has the falling things. In Heroic, there was more of that. That's only really the difference I noticed. I probably missed something, or maybe there's something different going on in Melee. But that was the only real difference I noticed in the Heroic version. What do you think of that trash gauntlet beforehand? Which...
Oh, is that up the corridor with the beams on the floor
Yeah, but it puts you in combat so nobody else can get there, because you have to use a teleporter.
Yeah, that's a bit fucking...
We had to reset our instance last night. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Because we had people who... Nobody was up there.
Oh, we had that as well, sorry.
Yeah, somebody was in combat.
That's actually why we didn't make an attempt on it last night, is because we only had like 20 minutes left, and we got to that track, and it got to the point where I think a few zoned through, engaged, the rest of us couldn't get through, and because it was a constant spawn, they actually came down through the teleporter at some point as well. To the entrance, yeah. But by the time that was over, it was like a 15-minute debacle, so we called it. So yeah, I know what you mean about that.
Yeah, we did the same. The first night it happened, we had enough people who had gone through to kill it, and therefore passed the gauntlet. But the last night on the normal mode kill, I think somebody had gone up, and obviously people just go up and they just move forward when there's no trash there. Yeah. And that started it, and we were all stuck downstairs. We had to reset the instance. By the by, though, an interesting boss. I really like the idea of kiting things through slowing of time in order to create the gaps. Well, that was nice, that actually. Cool. Really, really nice. A bit annoying for ranged, but as I said to a few people, is that fight is really trivial for me as a mage because I can blink over the killer discs. So they're never, ever, ever a danger to me, ever. They're just, unless I've used all my blinks somewhere ridiculous. Well, I will say, though, having Cephas's Secret, which generates haste on interrupt, and fast time, is the shit. Is the absolute shit. Getting both of those things together. I mean, people are like, who's interrupting? Me, I'm doing it. Don't you fucking interrupt it. And then it became a war of like who would get the first interrupts and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a fun fight. It's a really nice, interesting mechanic. That's all kind of brand new, is actually using time. And of course, the whole dungeon basically revolves around time. And we've seen that in the loot as well. Lots of trinkets that can give you crazy amounts of haste and speed you up and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. Moving on then to our last big boy. Big boy indeed. Now, we will talk about the cutscene, but we'll do it at the end of the video.
Okay.
So we don't spoil Arena, people. Gul'dan Heroic is magnifique. I had so much fun with Gul'dan Heroic.
Really?
Oh, God, nice. Kind of a shame that it's so much easier on normal. You miss... There's way, way less going on in the normal mode. Like, less ads and stuff. We have Dreadlords to kill every few seconds. Giant Dreadlords in Heroic.
Shit.
Yeah, very cool. And the end fight isn't boring. Kind of a mix of Blast Furnace, one of my favourite fights of all time, but still got to soak the souls of the dead from the Nightwell and put them into you and all this kind of stuff. And that giant storm AoE that comes that makes the whole room die. You're like, oh, fuck, we're totally screwed here. What I really loved was the addition of the extra action buttons. And trying to work them out to be perfect. To line up with things. Do we use them on eyeballs? Do we use them here? Do you coordinate it with your own cooldowns? I tried a few interesting things with my mage so it could line up perfectly with every combustion, which was kind of cool. But I will say that probably one of the reasons this fight stood out for me so much is we actually got to it as like the 20th guild in the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did really, really well. And of course, it's split runs during the first week. So the rankings don't mean anything, but what it did translate into, there was no guides or anything out for this. So the raid leadership, my raid leadership, had actually put together what they thought was going to happen and came in with a strategy based on ideas they'd read. And I say this because I love this stuff, is luckily, none of that was pretty much correct. And we had we then went into what I love about raiding, which was everybody from all different points of view saying, I've noticed this, I've noticed this, I've noticed this.
Like a jigsaw. Like
a jigsaw, and everyone throwing pieces of information until we sort of redid the whole strategy. We worked out a different standing route. We didn't need to be clumped because there's like the healer shield which absorbs fire damage, right? Yeah. So you get that fire AoE on you. So it makes sense from a reading perspective in the dungeon journal is we should get everybody under that bubble. Well, then it turns out afterwards it's like, actually, that's a really bad idea because that shield doesn't absorb fuck all, and you take way more damage if you do that. And then so I ended up, as you'll probably see in the normal killers, I'm all the way on my own. Absolutely all the way on my own, and we're hoping to bait things over there. He's got that eye blast, which is terrifying. On Heroic, that pretty much one-shots everybody. That thing's fucking scary, and it looks really cool. Don't like him going back into that shield. It's a cool-looking shield, and then when you have just this downtime period where you just
random downtime.
You just kind of hung about waiting for things to happen, but the last phase is lovely intensity to it.
Do you think there might be a reason for that?
For
why he has like these brief immune periods?
I can't see why yet.
If like I mean, this is just me spitballing, like classes that build up stacks of something through the
No,
fight
not
that
really.
maintains it, and then
I
you're
don't
out
know
of
whether it's
combat
because
long
they're
enough for it to
altering
reset.
certain mechanics, because you like lose the special action button in phase 3. You don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
The phase 1, he does it in phase 1, so you focus on the ads and not him.
Yes.
That makes sense. So that means they don't have to give him lol amounts of HP. So it's a good solution to that. So we've seen some bosses in the past that have had to have lol amounts of HP, otherwise the mechanics don't work.
Yeah.
Like Twin Ogron would be an example there. In Mythic, they just had hilarious amounts of HP, and the only reason was only 2 combinations of their abilities could actually kill you. And if they didn't give it lol amounts of HP, you would just skip over that entirely. A Scenarios would probably be a more recent example where they didn't give it lol amounts of HP,
Oh, and
but you could still
nuke.
but you could still nuke him instead of focusing on what you should have been doing, and therefore it didn't work out. So I get why they do it in phase 1. Why the transitions though? I don't know. It's a thing. It's a feature of that fight.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything more sinister behind it. It just feels a little awkward that you all gather and get knocked back and then you carry on again. Just have this weird downtime period. But overall, lovely variety to that fight. Lots of movement.
Absolutely. That's the
all
main thing that I
predictable as
focus
well. And this is kind of my overall thoughts here. I truly hope... I would say Gul'dan was my favourite fight, with Botanist being a second.
Yeah.
I really, really hope as we step into Mythic next week, they don't do what they did with Hellier, which was turn a fight that was full of adaptation in Heroic into something that's so difficult and so timed that it has to have this standard route. Like Gul'dan Heroic, the way we've done it as of right now, Mythic doesn't exist yet, was everybody doing kind of their own individual thought process and how to deal with things, then converging together, then spreading out, then dealing with things. I want that to continue, because everything the boss does has a cast time, so you can assess yourself. Do I want to move in closer? Do I want to move back out there? It's all on your shoulders to do that.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that when it comes to Mythic, it's not a case of, forget your brain, we have to go here, 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 here. And that's how this is the only possible way we can counter these mechanics, otherwise everybody's dead.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about for several of the bosses. So Star Augur could fall into there. Botanist could fall into there. Like, Botanist has got so much going on. I'm really hoping that the actual strategy to defeat it isn't being super clinical, super boring, super on rails.
Yeah, I think I can kind of see what you mean for Star Augur as well.
Yeah, that if you don't deal with it this way,
I feel like it's gonna go that way. With
we've
Star
seen it a
Augur,
few
for
times now. Like if you look at from Blackhand, I guess was the big moment for this Blackhand Mythic. Everybody had to be in the clump. You all had to run in the big circle, and you all had to do it as one person. Mm-hmm. And it was down to that impossible game sort of discussion I had, where you're all doing this set process. The level never changes, and you've just got to get everybody to get through it. And it's not really about who's playing. Doesn't matter if you're there. Doesn't matter if I'm there. It's just about getting everybody through that process without dying, essentially. And if you do that, then you're going to win. So I'm hoping they don't go down that route. I'm a little bit worried, but right now, though, certainly from her perspective, Botanist and Gul'dan were very, very fun. And the only boring fights for me were Starbro. Didn't get it. I thought it was too long. There wasn't enough going on for me. Other than that, only Chromatic Anomaly, because I haven't really seen what that guy can do yet.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I mean, even though, like I said, Krosus for me, I think I enjoyed the shit out of that fight, but I think a lot of it is down to like the bounce we were having at the time as well.
Oh, we had so much fun, and people were
so,
and this hasn't happened at all during Legion for me. People were really excited to go back in and do it again, and that was after Heroic and after Normal. In fact, we cleared everything and had to go back to TOV because we had like an hour of raid time left. So like, let's go clear TOV Mythic, and I was like, really? Okay. And then we went and did Mythic Odin, and it just felt like I was in a different world. It was like, this is so shit. And then we did Mythic Guam, and I was like, this is so shit. I'd rather do Krosus any day of the week than this crap.
Yeah.
And then we only had time for 2 pulls on Hellier, and we didn't kill her. Good. I wasn't asked. I wasn't asked, as long as we don't have to go back. And it was that game, but it was like totally different, back to this sterile mechanical world, which I don't want to be a part of. So that would be our Nighthold look so far. Looking forward to the Mythic comparison.
Do you want to talk about the...
Yes, so obviously...
Should we call this spoiler turf?
Yeah, spoiler territory now. I mean, most people saw this months ago. I was lucky. The first time I saw this was after I killed Gul'dan. And...
Same. I got linked that video so many times, but I avoided it because I don't... Even with like a lot of games that I play, not just WoW, when people link me shit like that, I don't want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah, I will say that... I'm going to drop his name in it. Almerac in our guild. When... Well, you know Illidan's in it.
I fucking remember this happening.
Yeah, and we all just went, dickhead. Why? some of us have gone miles.
But he went deeper down the rabbit hole, didn't he, about what he does and stuff like that.
Yeah, but and then he was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realise you didn't know." I was like, "Dude." Anyway, moving on.
It's a quality.
I never noticed the green thing in the room.
I know you didn't.
I had no idea. I never look up. I always assess the environment for where I can stand, where I can DPS from, and totally oblivious. It was like the star things on Garrosh.
Yeah.
You know the star bombs? I never even saw them coming until they were part of the fight. I had no idea, man, that they were like dangling around there. So I didn't even see the green crystal, but take us through what happens in the cutscene.
No. I don't want to step on anyone's lore toes,
Well,
mate.
if I say
what I got from there is the big dog fires through a beam and releases Illidan, and Gul'dan's like, "Why have you done that?" And then Illidan just gets up, crushes the shit out of his face. He says, "Right, let's go and beat up the big dog."
I've got to say, the scene where Gul'dan's like, "I'm fucked," and then the wings appear behind him, it was so good. They're so good. I mean, that cutscene is worth it for just that moment of Gul'dan looking down and like, everybody's abandoning me, I'm fucked, and then it just goes, and I'm like, oh! Because I didn't really know.
like the callback as well, where he's got the skull of Gul'dan in his hand and he just fucking crushes it. It's so good.
Yeah, it was a really wonderful end. And did you guys get the mount for doing normal?
I believe some of them did, yes.
Yeah, I got the mount. It's alright.
It's alright.
Yeah, it's a really big chair.
That's what I mean, though. That's everyone mocks the store-bought one version of it, but I prefer the store-bought because it just looks better than that.
Yeah, I would never use this mount. It's cool. Yeah, it's one of those things that you've got, and I put it away.
It matches the aesthetic. I get it, and people like it, which is cool.
It's still nice to get 800,000 AP, though.
I've not done that quest chain yet, because I'm still catching up on my
Poor
fucking
you.
rogue.
Poor you.
My ass.
I got 800,000 AP. It was well good.
No one likes you.
It was well good. It was well good. So there's our little look at the Nighthold encounters, guys. I want to talk about loot in a separate nerdier video, because we've seen some interesting things come out of the loot from the Nighthold, but we'll talk about that in a separate instance. So far, looking really good. So much happier in here than I'm really looking forward to next week. Well, this week, in fact, it's on Wednesday, but I'm really looking forward to doing Heroic again. I want to try out different specs, I want to try out different builds, I want to try out learning more about the fights, hopefully. Normal was a bad time to do Chromatic Anomaly again, because we didn't even interrupt it, I don't think, we just killed it. Yeah, the deeps was silly.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to Mythic, just hoping and praying that they don't overcomplicate it to the point where it's boring to do, which they can easily do. Let's hope they don't do that. So let's hope Skorpyron remains the AoE meme that he always should be.